I don't have anything to report. We will be meeting on Wednesday, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to attend Wednesday night, but I will try to get an update from the executive director.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ostrowski.
Mr. Allen, don't forget to announce that we had an executive session as well, please.
Yes. Just for public announcement, we had an executive session beginning at 6:15 this evening for personnel and legal, and followed by our regular meeting that began at 7:05. Superintendent's report.
There are a couple of items there. One of them being the continuity of education plan. The Jersey Shore School District right now is in the enrichment and review portion of that plan. That is, if you look at the FAQs, you will see that part of the reason we're in there, in that part of the plan, is because of the difficulties with continuing education and not violating FAPE. In the FAQs, it also identifies that the state's basically given three options. One of them is the enrichment and review, and one of them is planned instruction. The other one is a hybrid plan. However, if you do either the planned instruction or hybrid plan, the district must ensure all aspects of FAPE. And there's a lot that goes into FAPE. In our school district, one of the largest hurdles is access to connectivity. We did put a survey out. We did have 1,100 households respond to that survey, and there's actually 1,122 households responded. Out of those, there were over 300 that identified not having high-speed internet in their homes. 56 of them have access given to those homes or tried to utilize hotspots. We would not be able to reach all of those areas, which creates problems for us. It does allow us, however, to offer resources and materials for students. Everyone should have heard from their teachers by now, either through email or I know that some of our elementary classrooms use different platforms, whether it be Classroom Dojo or something like that. And so if you have not heard from your teachers, please make sure that you email your teacher or principal, because it's my understanding all the teachers have reached out to all of their students at this point. Some of them are have contacted them multiple times. So if that has not occurred for a family out there that's watching this, I just need to make sure that if you would please let us know, because as far as we know, we have contacted the students across the district in order to try to help them engage in these enrichment and review opportunities, because that's what they are, is they're opportunities for the students. We do have a plan moving forward as well. While we do have to stay in enrichment and review, we understand the need of the students that are missing material that would have been covered in this 9 weeks. The good part in regards to having to make up any of that time is that all of the standardized testing was canceled, and that would have taken, the testing itself would have taken quite a few weeks of that. But the remainder of the material that would have been covered during the remainder of that 4th marking period, the teachers are having those vertical discussions between grade levels in order to come up with a plan to bridge the gap of where the students left off at the end of the 3rd marking period and where they need to be when they return. So those adjustments will be made in the curriculum for when the students return, so that we can address all of those needs. The teachers and administrators, and they're also working on what we're calling remote curriculum development. And that's primarily to use next year, and that's a plan that we will have the special ed folks at PDE look at for next year as well, to make sure that we're meeting areas of FAPE. This requires a lot of work, though, because without having that connectivity, we are definitely having to do some creative things in order to do those things, and that takes time. But the teachers are working on that right now, and we'll be able to utilize what they create for what the state calls flexible snow days, or if we're in a closure next year that lasts more than a couple days, that we'll be able to utilize this plan at that time. The other thing I have on the...
Dr. Dady?
Yeah.
Could you just, for the audience that may not be familiar with FAPE, just a kind of a layman's description of what that is?
Basically, what FAPE stands for is Free Appropriate Public Education, and I have a lawyer behind me here, so he can chime in as well if he would like. But probably in simple terms, it's whatever you're offering, are you able to offer that to everyone? And so everyone has the same amount of rights. You can't do for some if you can't do for all. And then besides FAPE, there's aspects of IDEA, which is any students with IEPs and that sort of thing. How do we meet those remotely? Because a lot of those things would have to be rewritten. We've not been given any flexibility. Those are both federal government level, not state government level. And we've not been given any flexibility with those. And so we need to meet those as they are currently written, or in the future be able to write some things in those IEPs to be able to make some of these adjustments during times like this. So because of that, that's why we're in that enrichment review. We need to stay in that because we can offer those things to everyone. Anyone that hasn't had access at this point, we've been able to create a few packets for. But teaching them remotely isn't something we can do yet. Does that answer that question for you, Mr. Allen?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there was somebody watching that's not familiar with all of our acronyms we use, that they know what that's about.
Yes, in education, we do use a lot of acronyms. Sorry about that. Got to remember that. All right, the next thing is graduation promotion. And I sent out some material that we were given from the state to the board regarding graduation and promotion. And basically, I think in simplest terms, we just need to find a way to be able to hold our students harmless, because it's not their fault in regards to what's going on. It's not their fault. We live in geographically in an area that makes connectivity a problem at times. So when we start looking at graduation and promotion, would you like the direction that we were given last week? Would you like, the administrative team can formulate a general plan for you, but graduation is a local decision. So no matter what's put out by the state, it's really up to the board to do any kind of waivers or adjustments in regards to graduation and the requirements for that. Any of the required testing has already been waived. So it's just a matter now of how we would like to proceed. At this point in time, we have not changed the graduation date. If we get closer and it doesn't look like these social restrictions are going to be lifted, we've already started the discussion administratively regarding other options for graduation, whether it be, well, I don't want to say too many of them because I don't want to give people an expectation of which one's going to happen. But we have begun discussions regarding other forms of graduation ceremonies. We need to do something for them. I don't want to just say we're not going to have graduation, because these kids have worked really hard. We need to make sure that we have something really special for them for what they've been able to accomplish. So that is any input that you have into that. I would be happy to hear. I know that there are districts already thinking about doing other things as well, but Again, that's a plan that I can bring back to you if you would prefer it to be done that way and adjust it from there. Because there are some things in policies we may have to look at in order to get by. Is it okay if I just present a plan at the next meeting?
That would be great. Just so the people in the audience know that are listening out there, when Dr. Dady's speaking of contacting him, the public, parents of seniors in particular, we're looking forward to hearing from you if you have any ideas.
And the feasibility study is on there as well. That is just to let you know, that was one of the things that when we talked about many meetings ago, when this outbreak occurred, it was one of the things kind of pushed to a back burner. That's on there just to let you guys know that Ben and I started looking at some of those back burner items, and we have not had a capital projects committee meeting, so I will be we will be kind of looking at some of the firms in order to bring some of that pricing to the capital projects committee, so they have an idea of what even a feasibility, see what firms would be interested and available, and so we have something to bring to the capital projects committee. And the final thing under there is, Ben, your budget section, the district-wide budget.
So yes, to the board, I have sent you all notes on the district-wide budget. I'm not going to go down through and read this verbatim. There are a couple of things I'd like to point out to the public. Next year, one of the things regarding charter schools. Next year, our 2021 budget, this is probably the largest increase in the district-wide budget since you've seen it. The 2021 budget for charter schools is just over $2.6 million. That is for 158 kids. That is the same number of kids that's in there right now, but it's updated with new projected tuition rates. Tuition rates for 2021, and these are all projected rates, are just over $12,200 for a regular ed student and just shy of $25,800 for a special ed student. That's for the entire year. So those would be our rates. That's what I'm projecting our rates to be for next year. One other note for the public regarding the district-wide budget is on our debt service, because the last time we met, which I believe was March the 9th, we discussed and the board approved the refinancing of a piece of our debt. That final approval came the March 23rd board meeting, and that went through the end of March. The district will realize a savings from the refinancing of that debt of just over $375,000 over the life of the debt. Again, that did not lower, and that's a net savings. That did not extend the life of that debt. That's truly a savings from reduced interest rates. For next year, that net savings is just over $70,500, which has been placed into the budget. All in all, in the district-wide budget, from all the changes I've made, including the charter schools, including that refinancing, the district-wide budget has a increase of just over $5,000. One thing to note on the debt service side of it, you will see in the notes I gave you a slight uptick in debt service of $2.5 million in 21-22 budget year. But from that point forward, the debt service payments pretty much stay level funded, fluctuating about $1,000 per year. So that's just to note. I was not planning on discussing revenue this evening. However, the board has requested to do a discussion on real estate taxes. I will tell you I did not provide you a budget update like I typically do. I planned on doing that the next meeting, and I will do that the next meeting. Prior to changes to revenue, the deficit was just over $400,000. Then I had to start looking at local revenue. And to be quite honest with you, it's going to be even tougher this year to gauge what local revenue will look like for next year in these times. But I have lowered local revenue by about $500,000. So our deficit right now is just over $900,000. And I'm not going to get into much conversation about revenue, but I will tell you the majority of that reduction is in the earned income tax. That's over half of it. But I will provide that to the board at the next meeting, and I'll make sure that is on the next agenda. But with that being said, I also understand and recognize these times, the impact of a real estate tax increase could have. And at this time, I would recommend to the board that you consider setting real estate taxes at the rebalanced rate, which the rebalancing is the state's process of taking what last year's rates are and saying this is what they should have been. And with that, if you would do that, and I will provide all this information to the board prior to next meeting and on the next agenda. If you would set the real estate tax rates at the rebalance rate for Clinton County and Lycoming County, Clinton County would have a tax increase of $4.05, and Lycoming County would have a tax increase of $4.64. The rates would be for Clinton County 13.5010, and for Lycoming County be 18.3379. Like I said before, I can provide that to you, provide that information to you in my board update. We'll also can then do some further discussion on it at the next board meeting if that's what you would choose to do, or you can have further discussion this evening.
I think whatever we can do to minimize any tax increases this year. I know they're talking about a possible unemployment rate exceeding 10%, even in good areas. So anything we can do to keep that down, I think we've got to really make every effort possible.
I concur with that.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. That's it for the superintendent.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this when we're supposed to ask questions about the budget, or will that be at next meeting?
You can ask. I'll try to give you an answer. If I can't get you an answer, I'll do a follow-up with you.
Yeah, well, I just wondered, like, with the questions that I had and emailed to Mr. Allen, like concerning the buildings and grounds budget and things like that, like, are we going to get an answer on those questions?
Did you get those, Ben, or did you take a look at them, or did Mark?
I don't recall getting the ones from Mr. Petrosky, but I will double check, and if I don't, I will make sure I get them to you this week. I apologize for that.
Well, yeah, my one was concerning the purchase of a truck, and I wondered why the PP&L expenses were increased so much.
I did receive a question from another board member regarding some of the electrical increases. We'll tell you, I've talked with Mark about that. We have adjusted. We've decreased the middle school electricity and the high school electricity. Those two about $33,000. The other buildings we felt were comfortable where they were, but those were two definitely that were kind of out of whack with what we believe might be where they want to be. So We have decreased the two, the middle school and the high school.
Okay, and then with concerning the charter school, do we include the students like the 80 in the PA charter and the 80 or so at Sugar Valley? Like, do those students get put in like our enrollment figures when they're sent to PD, like when we send like the October count to them, so that we get reimbursed for those students and then we have to pay that money then out to those charter schools?
Dr. Dady, do you?
I think what she's asking, Ben, is how is that funded? Once, I don't think they're in our account because they're not our students if they're in a charter school, so they wouldn't be in our October 1st count. However, where they're counted against us, if I'm correct, Ben, is when we get charged for them. That's how many students we find out or we know that are attending a charter school that live in our area, because they're not enrolled in our system. They're not in our MMS or anything like that. We have to unenroll them when they enroll into a charter school of any kind.
So yeah, and I agree with Dr. Dady's assessment of that, is that they are not a part of our membership. So therefore, they're not in our 10-1 count, so therefore they are not counted in our subsidy calculations.
But how can they not subsidize, or how can they not pay us for those students if we have to pay the money out to them?
I think that'd be a great question for your legislators. That is, I mean, I could start having a really in-depth conversation on charter school funding, but and I am working, I actually have it done, the presentation for the budget for next meeting. You'll see a bar chart in that towards the end where the district used to receive subsidies for charter school expenditures. And I want to say it's been 10 years now since that stopped. The Commonwealth no longer subsidizes charter school expenditures.
Well, I don't understand how you can say those students are ours and you can pay that money out when you never paid that money to us in the first place.
I think that's the point, is they're not ours.
Then why are they charging us for them if they're not ours?
That's the method, that's the legal realm of how they get paid.
Ben, I guess,
Crazy.
because the question, I know that, I know finances is your realm, not necessarily mine, but it's the students that when they are enrolled at those charter schools, while they're not our students, we don't receive any funding for them at all because they do live in our district. It's just that they wouldn't be in our 10-1 count because they're not enrolled in our district. But when the charter schools do their enrollment, I'm sure they have to identify which school district the child lives in because we get notified. And is that how that funding rolls? It's like given but then taken away.
I don't believe they are in our subsidy calculations, but I can double check that. For basically our basic ed subsidy is our largest piece.
Mr. Renner, could you repeat the charter, the cyber school hit that you project for next year again?
Just over 2.6 million, 2.61 to be exact.
And I just have a question if everybody else is finished. I mean, we go ahead while they're thinking about it. In your next board meeting's presentation on the budget, we're looking at a $900,000 deficit. And we extended it out 2 or 3 years beyond that to look at the deficit, whatever the budget is, fund balance, and so on. Could you come up with, and I could probably pretty much do it myself, but you could do a better job. Could you come up with maybe a separate sheet of what would have been had we closed the 2 outlying schools. In other words, what we would have saved in like the closure costs, the new teachers we had to hire, alarm systems that we had to put in. I'm almost thinking that $900,000 deficit right now, your estimated projection for next year will probably be like a surplus of 1.3, 1.4 million. That should be hard to put together. Could you do that? Rather than me just throwing some things around, because there's probably more things that you're aware of that I'm not really aware of, like because we had to send the kids back to their home schools, we have to hire teachers and stuff. All I need really is maybe what the fund balance would be, and maybe if somebody asks questions, maybe what you're basing that fund balance on, the savings that we would have incurred.
Yeah, I can go back and look at I will try to go back and look at that.
If you have time, appreciate it. Be kind of interested to see what it would have been.
So Ben, I have a question. This is Patrice. The cyber cost, if we would bring all those children back and have our own cyber, 2.5 million, is that right?
2.61.
2.61.
Is that just cyber though, Ben, or is that both?
That's both. That's charter schools.
So that's not just cyber, that's Sugar Valley as well.
That's correct.
Cyber, I think, is
I think
all
a
by
couple years ago,
itself.
it was about a 50-50 split, wasn't it, Ben?
7, 5, and 4 is, yeah, 1, 5. That was the cyber school cost.
And just to be
5 is,
and just to be clear, that's only if the kids would come back. Just offering that cyber option doesn't necessarily guarantee anything.
Yeah, there's not a law yet. Patrice, maybe what you're thinking is, there's been a lot of talk about, trying to get a law passed in that cyber school reform that if we offered our own, that they had to use ours. That has not been passed or anything yet. So they're not required to use our cyber school as of now.
Okay.
But
it's
we
about
might have-
50%. You're correct. Because out of the 158 kids, there's 47 regular ed going to Sugar Valley and 32 special ed going to Sugar Valley.
And how many in the cyber?
158 minus those two numbers.
So most of them are going to the charter.
Correct.
Okay.
About 50-50.
But if we offered them an in-school cyber, maybe they would come back. A good one, I mean, right? Oh,
More audio than you think.
Yeah, we're hearing you, Pat.
I muted Pat.
I guess to sum up your question, Mrs. Dobler, I don't disagree with you. And what you're saying is if we could start cutting down some of the costs of that, it would have a significant impact on the budget.
And obviously, if in that cyber reform we could get it so that they would have to use our option, that would give us a lot of leverage as well, Patrice.
that'd be great. That would be really great.
We don't control that.
Yeah. But I just think if the offer's out there, they graduate with a diploma from Jersey Shore. I think that means something more than getting a diploma from someplace in Harrisburg, or not.
We do have around
That's what
30
I
kids.
thought.
We do have around 30 students that do that.
Yeah.
And that what's in there this year, around 30, 39, and somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, it's between 30 and 40. I can look it up for you while you guys are talking.
Okay, just one more thing, and I guess it's tangentially related to budget. Where are we with developing the plan for offering school choice and the additional staffing for Avis and/or Salisbury?
That's actually under old business, but we can talk about it right now because there's no action being requested under old business for it. The along with the capital projects meeting, the other thing that we've talked about is we were at the one board meeting, we asked for a committee to come together and talk about it and kind of make a recommendation. The people I have written down that from that meeting, and if someone else emailed me with everything going on, if you would just repeat to me that you wanted involved in this committee, were Mary, Craig, and I have a note down here about Michelle Stemler. Is that correct, Michelle, or were you not planning on that?
If you guys would like me to, I'm more than willing.
And I think I was on that
I
too.
was gonna say, I think Nancy was on that instead of me.
Okay, so Mary, Michelle, and Nancy. So you will be getting an invite from me probably tomorrow.
I was as well.
And
that
Angela,
The entire left side where we sat.
Yeah, I believe it was Angela, not Michelle, but if Michelle wants to be part of it, she can.
Mary,
There.
Angela, Michelle, and Nancy. I got it. That's good.
I would like to be part of that too, if that's possible.
I was.
Somebody
I also-
go off.
This is Patrice.
we limited it to 4, so we don't exceed
Okay.
our quorum, but if it probably wouldn't take much to pay somebody else to be off of it.
Patricia, you can take my spot if you'd like.
You better instant message them and not say it on here, though. All right? No, so you guys will get an invite from me, along with some other participants as well. And because along with what I wrote down regarding the graduation promotion, I would like the plan from that committee to be at the next board meeting as well. And then you guys can do with it as you desire at that point. You don't have to do anything with old business now, Craig.
Okay, thank you. Well, I just had an email from somebody this afternoon out in the community, so thought I'd get it in while it was fresh before I forgot about it.
I have a question.
It could have easily been put under superintendent's report as well, but since we've been talking about it, that's why we put it in the agenda where we did.
I have a question, Dr. Beatty, given the email topic. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we have to vote on bids being sent to do a feasibility study? You mentioned you and Mr. Enders were going to do that this week, and I don't recall voting on that.
Hold on a minute. What?
Professional services.
Are you saying yes or no?
No, you don't have to bid in that. Professional services.
No, it's a professional service. What would happen is you would have to. We're not being charged anything. We're not spending any money in doing this at this point. This is reaching out to see who is interested. Anything that would proceed moving forward with actual bids or feasibility studies, I should say. All that would come to the board.
And we think we're going to do this now instead of focusing on other things?
That's
the
completely
best?
up to the board.
Okay, which is what you want to talk about at the next meeting?
Yeah, what Ben and I are going to do is we're going to begin reaching out, and we'll bring where we're at, and you guys can decide, do we want to move forward at this time? Do we want to wait? What do we want to do?
All right.
I think we just all have a really full plate right now at this time, trying to get all this straight with the students and the budget and anyway, we're full. That's just something added that I don't know that we need at this time. That's my opinion.
I agree with you, Mrs. Dobler. I think we have to focus on the
Yeah.
issues at hand.
Yes.
But looking forward, we're looking at, Ben just said, $900,000 deficit, and the previous feasibility study people didn't like. I mean, there's one sitting on our website. That deficit's not going to go away.
Talking about a feasibility study of buildings that we aren't even utilizing right now. So that seems like
Right.
it's not as important as the education of our students, which we're still trying to formulate.
Feasibility study also would be required if we're going to add, if we're going to do any renovations to Avis or to Salisbury. We would have to have a feasibility study in order to pursue a issue for bonds. So
Sure.
it's not always related to closure.
Mrs. Dobler just makes a very valid point. We do have a lot that we're dealing with right now, and I don't disagree that perhaps that can be pushed down just a little bit while we deal with the more pressing issues.
I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
You
I
want
agree.
it, you want it closer to when you're actually going to use it, David. I agree. You need that. You're going to need to have it at some point, but you want it closer. It doesn't make any sense if we're not going to look. We're not going to do anything for a year or two to have it now.
But we
That's
also
what happened. That's what happened before.
We also need to think about what interest rates are going to be. I mean, they're very low now. And if we're going to look at some major capital expenditures, the cost of borrowing may never be this low again.
Yeah, and from the time you start a feasibility study, you're probably looking at 12 to 18 months until you get any information back.
Well, at a minimum, Dr. Data, you said this is not costing the district anything in the next 2 weeks, correct?
Is that right, Ben? We're just reaching out, right?
That's correct.
So yes, you are correct, Angela, or Mrs. Grant.
Okay, thank you.
So there's no advertising, the cost of advertising or anything, correct?
No, we're just doing exactly what I said. We're just reaching out to them.
And then may I ask, does that go to the capital projects committee then to decide whether or not what needs to be done, and then it comes before the board, and then the board decides if they
Yes,
need to move forward?
Based on these items, hopefully we'll have a capital projects committee. We'll be able to arrange it next week after we do some reaching out. Because the board meeting would be the week after that then.
But the board will vote on whether we're going to have a feasibility study done or not the capital
Right.
projects committee, correct?
Right. You'll just get you'll get a recommendation from the capital project.
Yep, you'll get a recommendation. That's all you'll get.
As to have it or as to not have it.
Correct.
It's still the board decision here regardless.
Right. Just be a recommendation.
Yep. All right, Craig, I think you're good.
All right, let's move on. Do we have anything that we need to add to the agenda for tonight that we have to go into executive session for, Dr. Dady?
No, as long as everybody's good with adding the one agenda item regarding the retirement. You want me to read that and then you can vote on whether to add it?
We still have to vote to add it to the agenda, though.
Yep.
Next under personnel.
Yep, it would be, I actually have it here. It would be under personnel, letter C.
We have a letter C.
D, sorry, D. I'm looking at two forms here.
If you want to read it, then we'll go through a motion in a second, please.
Yep, it says to accept a letter of retirement from Colleen Weaver, second grade teacher at Jersey Shore Area Elementary School, effective July 1st, 2020.
And that was submitted to you by email, correct?
Yep, we received it today. Today was the last day of the extension that the board gave.
Okay. Do we have a motion to add that to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Harry and Mary? Any further discussion on that item? Hearing none. Mr. Enders, could you take a roll call, please?
Mr. Becker,
Yes.
Mr. Brungard,
Yes.
Mrs. Dobler,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Kinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Petrowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Stemler,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Then we'll move back to there are no other adjustments to the agenda. We'll go back to courtesy of the floor. And is Patrick manning the phones on this one, or?
Yep, they have it in the other room. Hold on just a second. You'll have to wait a few minutes to see if things start ringing because there is a delay with the video.
Just a question then, are there any objections from board members whether we combine the first and the second courtesy of the floor into one session?
It's a good idea.
I'm okay.
I agree.
I'm good.
Aye.
Okay, we'll
Fine
approve.
with that.
You just need to give it a little longer. It's open. But no. How long is it? Mr. Allen, there is a 12-second delay, and it's been open for about 20 seconds now. So however long you want to wait.
Let's just go ahead and give it 2 full minutes.
Do you hear that? All right, we do have a call. Hold on.
Hello, Jersey Shore Area School District. Courtesy of the floor.
Is this Pat?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a question concerning the Jersey Shore Foundation scholarships for the seniors.
All right, can you hold on 1 second till I confirm that we have audio?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Okay, we just got confirmation you do. You're our first caller, so this is like a prize. Okay, go ahead and
Okay.
ask your question.
Name and where they're from.
Senior class.
Sir, you
The
need,
deadline for applications for the scholarship through the Jersey Shore Foundation, was that extended? Or has the deadline passed? What are we supposed to do about getting those to the necessary people?
sir, you need to, for process, you need to identify yourself and your address in the district.
Yeah, I live in Avis. It's Gary Spangler.
And you're, Mr. Spangler? Did you
Yes.
say this? Okay, thank you. I do know that the foundation is meeting tomorrow. They have their regular meeting. So as far as I know, the process remains the same, but I can bring that up to the chairperson of the foundation if you like.
Well, yeah, because we've had our applications since the first week of March, and of course, the second week of March, the kids were out of school. So we haven't really known where to go with them from there. So is there a point of contact through the foundation that I can reach out to before the meeting tomorrow?
The chairperson is Luann Gasper. And
Okay.
she has a school email, doesn't she, Dr. Dady?
Yes.
The email address is foundation@jsasd.org.
Okay, so I can just get on the website for the Jersey Shore School District like I am now listening to the meeting. And I can reach the foundation through that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you want to send me your contact information, I'll bring that to the meeting tomorrow because I attend that meeting.
Okay. All right, I can do that.
And then she can reach out to you.
Okay. All right, that's what I'll do. I'll email my information to you, and then we can just take it from there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Now, for anyone else out there, again, if you're trying to call in, the number's 570-398-5576. It's on the district website, right on the top page. Again, the number's 570-398-5576.
Hello, Jersey Shore Area School District, courtesy of the floor.
Hi, this is Pam Garrett, Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, Watson Township.
Go ahead, Pam.
Hi, it's Pam Garrett, Watson Township. I have a question in reference.
Hello, Jersey Shore Area School District, courtesy.
Hi, this is Pam Garrett, Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, Watson Township. My question is for the students, the senior students. If we're listed the stay-at-home order, can the school district do something, even though the school is not in session, to celebrate the seniors or do the awards or anything for them?
Pam, what we're going to be doing is, and you're going to hear more of this at the next meeting here in regarding graduation, promotion, and all those kinds of ceremonies. Right now, we haven't moved the date, but the likelihood of the social distancing being lifted by then is not looking very promising. So we definitely will be doing something, and what we will be talking about before the next meeting is what would all of that look like if we're not allowed to come together. Hopefully we'll get a little more direction from the state in regards to what their timeline is to see does it make sense to just back things up a little bit, but we don't want to back things up very far. We're going to lose kids from being able to participate. So we will have an update at the next board meeting in regards to what it would look like if we can't come together.
Pam, if I could have you turn the volume down on your system, please. I believe we're getting a loop back on your system. If you could turn your volume down, please. Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Pam, or give you some direction?
It does, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that the administration and the teachers are doing. It's a bad situation for all of us, but you guys are trying to do the best you can. I just like everybody else, you know. But hopefully that we can extend it even a little bit. If we can't have graduation, maybe it can be postponed a couple weeks. But like you said, you know, we have to wait for the governor. But thank you very much, and you guys stay healthy and safe. Bye.
Thank you.
Same to you.
Again, if anyone else would like to call, the number's 5.
False alarm.
Oh, sorry. If anyone would like to call, it's 570-398-5576. I kind of feel like a talk show host when we get to this point.
If there are no objections, we'll go ahead and close courtesy of the floor. Or does somebody want to wait a little bit longer?
I had a question pertaining to scholarships that Mr. Spangler asked, because not all scholarships are through the foundation, like the Ramsey Scholarship, and you know, there's other scholarships that the district gives out too. So what will we be doing with those, and have the kids even been able to apply?
They have been mailing them in. Mr. Keene picks them up every week.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I believe it's the one you were mentioning. The ones I've seen and come in the most is that one, and I think there's a Seacrest one as well that I've seen letters come in regarding.
And how about like the Bessie Graham? I know that's outside of our district, but there's that Bessie Graham scholarship for nursing.
He's gotten them. I just don't. Joanne put them all in the file for him, and he picked them up.
Hello, Jersey Shore School District, courtesy of the floor.
Hey, Pat, it's Cindy Ferguson. Can I get in the queue?
You are in the queue, Mrs. Ferguson.
Go ahead, Cindy. You're live.
Right now?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Because this is Cindy Ferguson from Limestone Township. And I just wanted to say thank you. I've been really impressed with the communication from the high school to the students. That's been really helpful. And I think it's called the dog collar that comes through. And I've also been really happy with all the updates from the guidance office. And I just wanted to thank the school district for keeping everyone safe. I'm sure not everyone knows, but even the scholarships that required going to a notary, the district waived so that we did not have to take our students into the public to have those things taken care of. And I also wanted to thank the district for trying to work with parents and students with the team, Microsoft Teams. It's been a wonderful help, and I know that our son has really appreciated being kept up with everything through the student email. The only suggestion I wanted to say with discussing things we can do for the seniors is as much as you can come through the one call and keep parents updated is really helpful, because we do worry about all those things. We think about all the things that our seniors are missing, and all the communication that you've been giving has really helped us in this time. So thank you so much.
One other thing to address your question while we're waiting for another caller. Mrs. Pecchia, the guidance secretary, reminded me that all the scholarships and instructions are on the website. So if they would go to the high school, they would see, you know, how things have changed or what they need to do to make sure that they get in.
Okay, thank you. That's good.
I've been really impressed with how the guidance office has kept us updated, so thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ferguson. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Again, another call at 570-398-5576 before we close courtesy of the floor.
Okay.
Jersey Shore School District, courtesy of the floor.
Hello, my name is Bob Fox from the beautiful Pine Creek Valley. I have a question for the board. How is everyone doing tonight? Glad to see your faces on the YouTube channel. I got a question about the budget. Just tonight, you just took the budget deficit. It went from a $400,000 deficit to a $900,000 deficit due to projected revenue decreases. Two questions on that. One, will the district save money on busing costs with how the school is now? And my second question is, in the 2017-18 school year, there was a budget deficit of $660,000, but after the audit that was just in the fall of this year, there was a $1.6 million surplus. Will any of that money be used to help balance this deficit?
Bob, I can answer the first part of that. You're going to hear something at the next board meeting as we look at, there's different ways that the transportation is being looked at, and because there is unfortunately a scenario in which by not paying out the contracts this year, it could impact the budget greatly next year because of the way reimbursement works. We do get 70% reimbursement from the state for transportation costs. So, but the payment's always a year behind, so we'd have to make that up somehow. So we're going to talk about that more regarding the transportation part, but that question may have to wait to get answered until next week, and when you hear about what we end up deciding to do with the transportation. I'll let Ben talk about the other one.
In regards to the surplus, well, my recommendation to the board tonight was to basically keep real estate tax rates level funded, which with that deficit, that amount is already in the budget. So with that amount, yes, we would be taking out of the fund balance to balance this budget, which essentially is taking that surplus, because that's the fund balance is where the surplus went into, and use that to balance this budget.
So does that $900,000 deficit reflect that?
No, that does not look. The $900,000 deficit solely looks at what the amount would be taken out of fund balance.
And how much was put into the fund balance from that audit, after that audit?
After that audit, I believe the number was about $700,000 or $1.1 million. I'm trying to pull up that audit report right now. And know there was a commitment of funds for that, to go into an amount for future Plan Con J approvals. So I believe the amount with that 1.1, with that $300,000 taken out of it, was about $700,000.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Fox.
Have a great night. Yep, thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
All right, one more time, that number is 570-398-5576. Going once.
You know, just so I'm not going to call in, but this is this is kind of nice to get different people calling in like this. I didn't know whether we could be nice if we ever do get back as a united board there, that maybe we could have a call-in session for people at home. I don't know. It's kind of neat hearing from different people.
We're going to let you be the operator.
That's fine. I'll take that on.
You got it.
It's been about 40 seconds since the last call, Mr. Allen. If you want to wait 20 more, that'd give you about a minute.
Okay.
I think you're good.
All right. All right, we'll go ahead and close courtesy of the floor and move on to personnel. We have a motion to approve personnel items A through D.
So moved.
Second. Go ahead, Wayne can have it.
Who was
Any
second?
discussion or questions?
Wayne.
Any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, let's go with a roll call vote. Mr. Enders?
Mr. Becker,
Yes.
Mr. Bringard,
Yes.
Mrs. Dobler,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Kinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Petrowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Stemler,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Rhino.
Okay, we have nothing under curriculum instruction, nothing under building and grounds, so we move on to finance. And we have A and B under finance. We have motion to approve.
So moved. That's
Second.
Mary.
Second, Dave.
Any questions, comments?
I have a question. Did somebody shop around to get the best price?
We did not. The vision offer is the PSEA offer. That's a part of the teacher's contract. That's solely the teacher's contract.
Okay.
The group life AD&D is, I believe that's PSBA endorsed. We did not, because there hasn't been a change in rates for that. I think this is the second year in a row we have not had change in rates in that.
Okay.
So there's no increase in that. There's no increase in either one of them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, could you do a roll call, Mr. Enders?
Mr. Becker,
Yes.
Mr. Bringard,
Yes.
Mrs. Dobler,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Kinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Petrowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Stemler,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
I know.
Okay, move on to miscellaneous. We had nothing under miscellaneous. Under old business, we had school choice. Dr. Danny, do you have any additional items to offer under school choice?
Nope. There will be information at the next meeting regarding the result, the comments or recommendations from the committee.
Mr. Allen, I have something. Could I add something? We're voting on this stuff here, and I don't I looked at my agenda here maybe Thursday, Friday. I have no idea. I know what I'm voting on. I had no questions on it. And we're gonna get the budget presentation at the next board meeting. Can I or we get a hard copy of this sent to us, or I gladly stop and pick it up? So I know I have something in front of me, so I know what I'm actually voting on, unless I'm missing something that you guys are looking at somehow at the agenda on your screens that I do not know how to do.
Dr. Dady?
Are you talking about the attachments, Mr. Brungard?
I'm talking about the whole agenda, the financing, miscellaneous and everything, and then the budget presentation is going to be made at the next time. I'd like to have that stuff in front of me. Am I missing something that I can pull it up on my iPad here that the other people are doing that I'm not aware of? All I'm doing is looking at the board members. And like I say, I looked at the agenda here maybe 4 or 5 days ago.
Well, we can, if you would like a hard copy of all of the attachments in the agenda, that's not a problem.
I would like, I'd be glad to stop and pick it up if it's available Friday or even that Monday.
No, we can do that. Probably might be easiest if you pick it up, and most up to date if you pick it up Monday morning after it goes live to the public.
Can you review it online?
Online, and then I could get a hard copy so I'd have for the meeting and stuff, so I know I can refresh my memory a little bit. I appreciate that.
Not a problem.
I have a question. Is it possible to get the agenda any earlier? I know that you've talked about this before, but given the fact it came out Friday with quite a heavy load on it, I found it challenging to not have questions when it became open to the public.
As long as no one adds to it. When would you like it?
Well, now, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, Mr. Allen and I meet Wednesday to set the agenda, the Wednesday before the board meeting. Theoretically, we could have it ready Thursday then. I just have to have Pam work on it Wednesday as soon as Mr. Allen and I are done meeting.
Just any extra time would be appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Mrs. Grant. Any other questions for the good of the order?
When the budget comes out next meeting, are we going to be able to, if we have problems with some of the areas and what has been budgeted by the different departments, are we allowed to question it at that time?
Are you talking about at the board meeting or when you
Yes,
first?
I'm sorry. Yes, the next board meeting, isn't the budget coming out at the end of the month and we have to go through it and approve it by a certain date, right?
Yeah, I'll let Ben talk about it, but you can always ask questions at the board meetings regarding the budget. It's not a issue of not being able to ask questions regarding it. Ben, do you want to say anything there?
The proposed preliminary budget will be on the agenda for approval next meeting, as was originally scheduled. I will tell you that is the proposed budget. It can change. It has changed. It will change between now and June. But this is a step we are required to do by law as part of the process of the budget. So I will put that on the agenda requesting approval. I will send that out to you. My plan is for you to get an email probably, I'm hopeful by the early part of next week, with a bunch of budget stuff in there, including the proposed final. That will then be displayed at the district office. I will also have it put on our website, considering the times we're in, for people to review and inspect it. But right now there are some rumors I've heard about the agenda process being delayed, but we need to continue with our process that we have we have scheduled.
You mean the budget process being delayed?
Yeah.
At the state level.
They proposed final being done at the April 27th board meeting.
So the state might be given a grace period, right?
We might be, but
Maybe.
there's a lot of legal conversation Mr. Kenyon and I would have regarding that, what that exactly means for us. But anyways, that has not happened yet, so we need to continue down the path that we are scheduled to have. And that includes a proposed final to be placed on the next agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Ben.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody have anything else? Is there a need for executive session?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go into executive session for what purpose, Dr. Dady?
It is for personnel, and looks like personnel and legal. Looks like that's all it is.
Okay, we'll go into executive session 8:19. If anybody's keeping track, Mr. Enders.
Got it.
All right, just hold on a few minutes. Let me kick Pat off.